Welcome to Going for the Green. I'm Brad Thomas. I promise you, I am Brad Thomas. Hair is gone, but I am not a clone. Same guy, Denny Carter. Listen, we have the Charles Schwab challenge. But before we get into any thoughts on this, I need to ask you, what did you think? What was your first thought when the news popped up that Scottie Scheffler was arrested ahead of the second round at the PGA Championship?
I thought I was going to give feedback on your new hair look here, but okay. Here's how it went. I woke up with the kids, right, and I'm making them breakfast, and I turn on, I turn on Sports Center, and I see a guy who looks an awful lot like Scottie Scheffler being escorted to a cop car, and I say, "Huh, that looks like Scottie Scheffler," and I go about my morning. I don't even think about it,
Yeah.
and then I come back 5 minutes later, and it's actually him getting into a cop car. It's actually mind blowing. It's surreal. It's dreamlike. It was a very weird Friday.
Yeah, when I saw the tweets, I was like, I'm getting trolled. I was like
Yeah,
fact checking on Google and
right.
everything. And then when I saw it, like the worst came to my mind because I've met Scotty. I've had conversations with him. I'm like,
Really?
it's not just an act. He's a wholesome dude. I'm like, was I wrong this whole time? Did I have this bad character judgment? But either way, how he played after that round was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Obviously, life came at him fast on that third round, especially without Ted Scott. But he's back in the field. He's plus 280. I'm going to pass. I think he's upwards of 13,000 on the DraftKings DFS
Yeah.
side.
That's right.
I'm going to pass on him. I'm going to Max Homa as my high price guy, my shorter shot. He's 22-1 to win this tournament. And I'm typically not a Max Homa guy. I'm not the guy who just loads up on Max Homa. But what I've seen from him is promising enough for me to get back on the train. About like 6 or 7 tournaments ago, I think I highlighted something about Max Homa in one of my articles that his putter was starting to fail him. And if he's not going to continue to tear the cover off the ball and just gain a ton of strokes on approach, if his putting's not there, you can't just have neither. You got to have one or the other. Well, now he's gaining a ton of strokes on approach and he's putting really well. If you want to go back and look at his history here, he's a guy who's played phenomenal. T9 here. And why? Because this is a second shot golf course. We talk about that a lot, but the distances of like 125 to 150, you really need to excel at. So you want to get guys who are really good on approach. And Max Homa is that. T8 at Wells Fargo, T35 at PGA. I think his price should be a little bit shorter, so I'm taking a stab at him at 22-1.
I like it. The second shot course is big here. That's what I focused on as well. Homa's been shaky off the tee, as you know.
Yes.
But I think if he can light it up on the greens this week, I think that he is a good shot. As for Scheffler and DFS, I mean, you really have to take a gash into your allotted, money to put together a lineup if you're going with him. But man, I'm telling you, it's hard. It's hard to build a confident lineup without Scottie Scheffler.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a guy that you like, Mr. Collin Morikawa, as your high-priced option. And I don't know if you saw the sheet that I had updated before we got to the final.
Mhm.
I was going to go Max Homa or Collin Morikawa, and I didn't get rid of Collin Morikawa for any negatives. I just
Right.
did it based on price in the betting sphere. So tell us why you like him as your high-price option this week.
I mean, I'm looking for guys who can put it in the fairway, and length doesn't really matter that much this week, and that's good for a guy like Collin Morikawa. By the way, Brad, I was stunned to see. I know the stats, I know the metrics, I'm in the spreadsheets constantly, right? But I was just shocked to see in the PGA Championship how far behind guys Collin Morikawa was off the tee. I'm talking 30, 40 yards sometimes. But here's the thing: he put it in the fairway, and that's what you have to do here. Put yourself in good position. He's first in driving accuracy. He's gained strokes in 7 of his past 8 events overall. And he's 8th in the field in proximity to the pin, which is actually a pretty closely correlated stat here for this event. So good with the irons. And we saw it at the PGA. He's putting every shot, he's putting to 10 feet, 12 feet. He didn't make any putts the entire day on Sunday. I like the overall form going into this. And I don't know if he's going to be super high rostered because Scheffler is going to vacuum up a lot of that rostership.
Yeah, totally agree there. I'm going with a guy I don't trust at all, but I think I'm seeing something in his game that's making me want to take a stab at this price. I'm going with Tony Finau. He's 33-1, right, Denny? And we have to remember that there's some things about Tony Finau's game that we don't like. Number one, putting. He went 4 straight events where he lost strokes putting. He was off the tee He's lost strokes at the Players, lost strokes at Valspar off the tee. And then he started correcting. Houston Open gained 5 strokes at the Masters, gained a stroke at RBC Heritage. And then he kind of had a really big stinker at Wells Fargo. Well, he played okay at PGA. He did lose off the tee. That's the issue, right? But man, we cannot deny how well he's playing on approach. He is top 4 in strokes gained approach over the last 36 rounds. He gained a whopping 9.6 strokes on approach at the PGA Championship. And most importantly, he switched putting grips, right? I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you look at it, losing 3, 6, 2, 1 strokes on the putting surface in his recent events, and then he actually is neutral. He gained strokes on the putting surface after he changed his putting grip. That's massive. This is a tiny course, right? We talked about distance is not all that important. I think that helps a guy like Tony Finau, right?
Mhm.
You hit it far enough, you're out of the trouble. Or if you club down, that also helps with his accuracy. If he continues to stripe the ball the way he's going to, he will be in contention. Not to mention, this guy plays this course so well.
Absolutely. Look, and finally, Tony got my handwritten letters. I've been sending it to him for 18 months saying, Tony, you got to change your grip, buddy. All right. You stink on the greens. You're struggling mightily. You have the toe of the putter pointed straight up in the air. And I know, look, I'm just a duffer. I know that this is not right. Okay. So he changed his grip. You're right. I was hoping he'd go to the broomstick. Honestly, I would hope he just completely redo his whole putting game. But it is an important thing. And I think that we should factor it in. I will say that this season, Tony Finau has been great from the 75 to 100 yard range, which again is very important on this course. So he has a lot of things going for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a guy who kind of fits my profile as well. When I was building out my initial model, I had Aaron Rai sitting about 8th in my model, which is really high for someone whose salary is 7,800. I don't want to take away too many of your talking points, but I smiled when I saw this come over. So just tell me what you like about Mr. Aaron Rai.
Yeah. So look, Mr. Two Gloves. Okay. And he was at it again. By the way, Phil Mickelson going full Aaron Rai at the PGA Championship wearing 2 gloves. Looked terrible, Phil. But Aaron Rai is going to be popular this week, but I think that he's a really safe option. You're choosing 6 players. You don't have to get crazy on all 6, right? Like you can go a little chalky here and there. I think Aaron Rai will be something close to chalk here, but he came in 4th in my model. I think that he's going to pop in a lot of models because over the past month, he's 4th on approach. He's 4th in proximity to the pin. He's top 20 in driving accuracy. Those are all the things that matters here. Do I think that Aaron Rai is going to win this thing? No. But in DFS, we need to get that 6 through 6, right? I'm sorry, 6 of 6 through to the weekend. And I think that he's a really safe play to just plug in there.
Yeah, Mr. Aaron Rai, Mr. Two Gloves himself. When I was looking at these long shots or bigger price guys, I already had the decision made up that I was going to bet Tom Hoge. I was going to bet him top 20 and I was going to bet him as an outright. But I don't want to give that pick out, right? Because I feel like too often in this space, Denny, especially on the betting side, the picks are just very similar, right? They're the same cappers are betting the same guys. Why is that? Because they're good course fits. So we all know Tom Hoge's a good fit. I don't want to exhaust that narrative, but someone who's flying under the radar, Keegan Bradley. He's has a higher price than Tom Hoge. Tom Hoge's 50 to 1. Keegan Bradley's plus 5,500. So 55 to 1. And his top 20 is 2 to 1. So plus 200. Sorry, I got choked up there because I don't want to get too excited, but the excitement just jumping out of my face. I asked myself a question in my notes. Is Keegan Bradley trending up? When I look at Keegan Bradley's last couple of rounds, right? Like he had back-to-back stinkers at courses that, I thought he'd play well at the TPC, and he played horrible at Valspar over at Innisbrook. And then at the Masters, T22, and then T21 at Wells Fargo, and the PGA Championship quietly T18. But what's really important is we talk about you need a guy who's going to be good on approach, right? He's gained at least 4 strokes in 3 of his last 4 events. In 4 straight events, he's gained at least 3 strokes. And what's really important when you start looking at these higher price guys, especially guys who are rounding into form, win equity. He's won way more than Tom Hoge. No offense, Tom Hoge, a better golfer than Tom Hoge. And I'm only using Tom Hoge because he's priced around that number. Right. And when you look at high price guys, they have this tendency to flash in a pan, right? Like they're good for 2 weeks and then kind of settle down. But Keegan Bradley's a seasoned veteran. I expect him to continue to trend upwards until his game's in the spot where he wants it to be.
Only 7 guys in this field have been more accurate off the tee over the past 2 months than Keegan Bradley. So we know he's going to put himself in position to score. We just have to hope that Keegan makes some putts because he runs hot and cold with the putter.
Yes, and his attitude, his demeanor. He's the kind of guy, if things are going terrible, you can go ahead and rip up your bet slip because there's no bounce back from Mr. Bradley.
Yeah, I know. I feel like, you got to adjust that mindset, Keegan.
Yeah. So a mindset. You want to talk about running hot and cold, Mr. I will yell at you if you say something that I don't like. Zach Johnson, man. I know we say what age is beauty or something like that. You are definitely going for a lower price option that was not on my list.
That's right.
Tell me about Zach Johnson.
Yeah, I mean 5,800. You're talking about like bottom of the barrel here, and I would not go with Zach Johnson on any course that required any sort of length off the tee because my guy Zach Johnson is not hitting it far at all. You may notice. It may be time for the what do they call it? The Champion Store for Zach Johnson soon. But he has been okay on shorter courses. He gained strokes on approach in 3 straight events. He was 17th in strokes gained on approach over the past month, 8th in this field in driving accuracy, and he tied for 20th at the Byron Nelson 2 weeks ago. Like I said, I mean, he's in play on courses where you don't have to hit it a mile. That's, kind of what we have here. Again, you're looking for 6 of 6. And if you play Scotty Scheffler, you're going to have to get weird in the $6,000 or even the $5,000 range on DraftKings. Zach Johnson, you could do worse, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he tends to have those pop rounds at courses that aren't particularly difficult in length. TPC Deer Run. You already talked about him at CJ at TPC Craig Ranch. I think Zach Johnson's one of those where you just need him to play all right for the first 2 days. Get your 6 of 6 and get out. So I like that. As always, Denny, this has been really fun. For everyone watching, thank you for checking this out. Make sure you check out NBCsports.com for more help with your wagers. This was Going for the Green. I'm Brad Thomas here with Denny Carter. Thank you.